Next. If you want to, I can talk about tarot. We can cover tarot spreads. Or if you want to, we can cover numerology and numerology. But actually, you've got enough and you can just go from there. So it's entirely up to you. Have you other questions about other aspects of this work?
I was wondering, Laura. Well, I have some questions kind of about the, the paths of the Kabbalistic tree, like, and the tarot cards. Like, why is tarot associated with it if it's more ancient like than that? I guess, or I don't know.
I never said it was more ancient than that.
Uh, yeah. Well, I don't know. I just assumed it was. I guess.
Assumption, we don't do it.
Yeah.
I have a question, no. It's about tarot and taking it forward from here. So a few of us met yesterday to just do one-on-one practice and look at what we can see. I think I'm a fair bit away from being able to tell which story is the story when I see it, and being able to feel it in my body and kind of understanding which one is the path jumping at me or the words jumping at me. So,
That's going
how,
to happen for
how,
a while. What do you expect? I mean, how far into this are you?
no, no, I mean, how do I keep it up? I'm not saying I should know it now, but how do I keep progressing? Just,
Repetition,
and
repetition, repetition. Just keep doing it. Yeah. Seriously. That's the only way. And then one day you go, oh, couldn't miss it. So yeah, getting together is a really, really good idea. But one day it'll just go and you can't miss it. But you've got to keep going to do that. It's the same kind of thing, Anisha. Honestly, if you're stitching a garment and you're learning to sew a pattern, or if
yeah,
you're learning architecture and you need to know what a capstone does, if you're going to build a bridge, this work that we've been doing over the last 10 weeks is just the capstone. You know, when it comes to the architecture, that's the slow building, and it requires you to think on many, many levels. Like, if are your foundations solid? Have you got a clear space? Are you being objective? Can you say it like a spade, or are you just being terrified of what you see? And will concepts of terror and fear and vulnerability get in the way of you saying what you actually do see? Of course they will. And of course, you're just going to figure on one thing at a time and fix on one thing at a time, but that's only just now.
I'm having like a bit of trouble with but I've just found like PDF printout of the cards. So I'm just going to cut them up and do one card a day and try and get the pairings like
Memorize.
that. Yeah, well, that's a bit rusty. So I'm on the
That's,
lion's mane for that.
yeah, lion's mane's great for that.
Yeah.
Very necessary. Also, because the synapses, since the introduction of digital technology, the synapses are withering. Doesn't mean they're dead. They can't die. We can regenerate them. We can generate the neutrinos. We can generate everything that's. But you've got to just use the muscle.
If you haven't made a grimoire of this information and using your hand to write it down with a pen and like implementing it into your system this way, this is really, really potent way to get it into the body, because you're working with your hand and your mind and the imagery and the words to get it in you as a blueprint.
Also, the reason that I didn't go too much further with Artemis on that discussion is because I've put up, there are images of that tree with all those paths on it in both books. And they don't have relevance as far as reading tarot is concerned, so I haven't mentioned them for that reason. As far as the exercise of coming to understand the tree, yes, it's really significant, and the imprint, but more so than the tarot cards are the actual letters and what the letters mean. But ultimately, to be very honest with you, it's superfluous information when it comes down to actually understanding Kabbalah and the infinite that's associated with the actual tree. It's itself, themself, tree self. Yes, they imprint, but then it's also important to realize that one can get stuck in that pattern And that pattern is, in this particular class, this Advanced Tarot Masterclass, what I'm attempting to do is break free of even the way I've taught in the past, to be quite honest. One can understand the letter Resh and what that represents. One can understand the letter Hey and what that represents. And I think this is most important, but only insofar as that's a deviant path to what we're doing here, insofar as that will lead us down the realm of working with what I call practical magic or magic medicine. If you want to do that, that's a different kind of story. But yeah, it's learning those paths and the astrological signs that are associated with them is good brain training. But the understanding of the tree really goes into the more mystical aspects of the exoterics and the esoterics of letters and what they actually represent on the tree and with those 11 Sephirot. The hardest readings of all are the ones when nothing's going to happen. When you look at a person's cards and you go, got nothing. It's easier to read death and trauma and chaos and car accidents and fucking legal situations and money and finances and building empires. But I had a lot of them in the Byron region of a woman who's been enamored by some guy who says, oh, you'd make us beautiful children, kumbaya, kumbaya. And then the woman goes ahead and gets pregnant and he moves back across to Bali where he's a little god in his own right. And she's left up in the mountains there with this newborn baby and no assistance whatsoever. And she comes for a reading and she says, what the fuck am I going to do? And I go, nothing. And that's when you actually got to put the cards aside and the medicine person then has to come forward and work with them. Go find them an abseiling group. Find them a place where they can go and learn to ride. Find them a place where they can go and work with sculpture. Different places where they can meet up with like-minded others, not necessarily through the realms of so-called spirituality and mysticism and magic, because that's not, in many instances, it's not a doing thing until we're doing the thing. Whether it's, again, weaving a carpet or whether it's cleaning a house, it ends up being a doing thing. But it's not a doing thing and in what we're discussing, it's more theoretical.
So, and that's like a choice to make when you're in the reading to decide that she doesn't need the reading, she might need some other just help.
But there's the third aspect as well. I mentioned the chaos and discord, and I've mentioned the person who can go nowhere, and then I'll also have people where I go, nothing's happening, and they go, oh, thank goodness.
I've had some distant acquaintances come and say, and I've done a few practice readings on them, and they've said that they've tried to influence the cards. What's your take on that?
There is no control of anything. There's living the choices that we seem to have made when there was no choice in the first place, because there was only what we've done and what we're doing. So the concept of choice is silly, because you've taken the one path, you've taken the one path. People that think they can manipulate or control the principles of magic, it's chaos, it's discord. It's not meant to be controlled. These are as wild as we are. These are our forest brothers and sisters. This is our family, like Pachamama family, and it's like you've tried to control everything else, and you've split the fucking atom, and you've pushed Oppenheimer out of the way, and now you're digging up all the fucking uranium, and now we're having a war, Cold War, and now we're still on the take. And these are all people who are based on that paradigm of control that's manipulated by Abrahamic law that says we're the top of the food chain. And those people you're dealing with, Luna, maybe they're stuck in that ideology as well.